I welcome you, parents and new freshmen, who come here with divergent social philosophies and from different ways of life. At Williams, we are the proud inheritors of a New England tradition of excellence, and it's never been easy to get here. How did you get here?
By car?
Clever. We treasure the names of Bascom, Whitney, Garfield, and Stetson, but we also treasure those histories still in the making, and I'm inclined to think we have more Jewish boys here than we've ever had before. But we don't keep careful statistics on that matter because we don't maintain quotas. Whether your boy goes on to pursue graduate work at a university or enters at once the world of business after 4 years at Williams, his equipment as a self-steerer will serve him in good stead. And remember, your boy's success depends as much on his character and willpower, but I know your boy will sow lasting ligatures of friendship and develop compelling bonds of virtue and faith. Here in Williamstown, you'll enjoy a lively art scene, and the New England Opera Company will soon present a double bill of operettas that should take our minds away from the troubling news about the state of the world which reaches us from abroad. You'll find our fraternity houses most hospitable, whether the brothers are debating campus politics or planning their next vacation. Veterans returning from campus with their wives and children will enjoy comfortable accommodations too, but no matter where you are, in the lecture house, the fraternity house, the music room, the newspaper office, or looking back on your youth many, many years from now, remember something. You are Williams. We are Williams.
Humble and obedient servant caught the matinee performance of the New England Opera Company and was highly impressed. Under the direction of Boris Goldovsky, who also accompanied on the piano, the company performed 2 operas: Mozart's The Impresario and Minotti's The Old Maid and the Thief. The first named was a light one-act, but an impresario can't decide which of the 2 prima donnas he wants to use for his latest musical extravaganza. His decision to see both of them constitutes the plot. The roles were acted stylistically. It was the 18th century, of course, with a good deal of humor. Margaret Brink and Margaret Goldovsky were excellent in everything except their textual clarity, though Miss Brink's stentorian pauses before long passages were quite audible. Maybe it was the AMT acoustics. takes him for a thief. It was original. It was witty. It was sharply written.
Dr. Herman Tarnow is an ex-Army medic and Nagasaki observer. Captivated a large audience last Thursday with the idea that atomic bombs are fine things to talk about. So long as no one sets one off. Not around here, anyways. Dr. Tarnow figures that 2 to 3 well-placed bombs on New York City's power plants and reservoirs wipe out 8 million people. An explosion at ground level, he says, could cause such a degree of radiation as to render the area unenterable for several years. Dr. Tarnow spent 3 months in Nagasaki as part of a specially selected Joint Atomic Bomb Commission of medical men and scientists. During this time, he gathered a great deal of data on the physiological effects of the bomb by observing victims of the strange and baffling radiations. Flash burns, and by talking with survivors. Flash burns, he said, are instantaneous heat waves of unimaginable intensity. These heat waves, the blast effect, and the radiation accounted for 25,000 deaths instantly within a mile of the hype center. 25,000 more were injured, some as far as 3 or 4 miles out. Radiation, he said, accounts for most of the lingering deaths. Victims have severe nausea for a few days and suffer from infections for about a week. And if unlucky, they can have hemorrhages of the nose and the mouth and the ears for 3 months. After that, some get better. Others relapse and die. Radiation takes the form of an intense barrage of alpha and beta and gamma rays that attack all living tissue in the body, especially that of high growth areas like bone marrow.
Slow the fuck down.
3/4 of the bone marrow in the body is destroyed, then death is almost certain.
Let's get to it. Shall we? Recent issues of the record leave little doubt of the sharp focus into which fraternities at Williams have been brought. Over the last several years, the subject has been permitted to disturb some of the undergraduates, as well as some of the alumni. It seems to me there might be some merit in the thought that this matter be settled for the present. So you men can go to more important aspects of your college life and career. Let the small minority who don't like the Williams social system make way for the hundreds of swell boys who are turned away each year. I doubt that those same people will be happy with the system we are fortunate enough to have in America today when they are out of college. But perhaps they'll learn to live with it and decide to make a contribution to the society in which they live rather than endeavor to destroy it. Gentlemen, it is a truism that fraternities are undemocratic. Any social or caste system is undemocratic. There's no use in denying the facts of life merely because one does not like them. Besides, I find it hard to believe that the obvious social ills existing on the Williams campus or as bothersome to the majority of undergraduates as the art recent alumnus, Joseph L. Leibowitz. Maybe someday the agitators realize you can't legislate social equality any more than the United States of America could legislate a citizen's rights to indulge in alcoholic spirits. When a man leaves college, he must stand on his own 2 feet. He might as well get accustomed to it in college. But in the meantime, I feel sure that the great majority of alumni are just as fed up as I am with the continual bickering pro and con on the subject. Even in a changing world, there are some people who will continue to like Williams, as it always has been. And that is our manifesto.
The fraternities are not void of certain unadvised and unjustified practices. Fraternity Row, however, is not evil carte blanche. If it is, it would not have existed for approximately 125 years. Stop shivering at the word discrimination. I love the discriminating tongue, the discriminating eye, the discriminating ear, and above all, the discriminating mind and soul. The person for I can find no love and no respect is the indiscriminate person. The self-righteous liberals who dominate the articulate press on the subject of discrimination have disgusted us for some time. The sensational journalism campaign against the fraternities comes served piping hot from the typewriters at 15 cents a word straight to the waiting public, who for 15 cents a copy sit back and hiss at the pink-cheeked youth. An intelligent, unfevered examination of the situation will reveal that discrimination must be allowed to exist across all college campuses. It is a corollary of democracy, nay, a prerequisite of democracy that they should exist. And all community in a free society is based on discrimination of one sort or another. Our system of government is based on the principles that every man has the right to develop freely along the lines of his own personality. This development includes the choice of one's associates, and self-advancement must continue uninhibited as long as it does not interfere with the free self-advancement of others. Since it is evident that social discrimination must be allowed to exist wherever the freeman may desire it, if our expressed democratic principles are to remain consistent, it follows that it must be allowed to exist upon any basis which freemen may desire. This development includes a choice of one's race and religion, and the fact remains that no man or group of men has the right to legislate the feelings or beliefs of others. Furthermore, such legislation is ineffective. Discrimination is not something that can be wiped out by the removal of a few words from a piece of paper. Discrimination exists in the minds of those who practice it. And the mind cannot be coerced into a sincere acceptance of anything for which it does not freely believe.
Bermuda-bound thieves, prepare for dances, sports, parties. Yeah, boys! Why, leaving for Bermuda via Pan American Airways, approximately 10 Williams men are expected to answer this call this Saturday as we start on our way to spend our spring vacation and Easter holidays in Bermuda. Amidst an abundance of Easter lilies in the pastoral shade scheme of an English colony town, there will be many other scenic interests, such as the 85 Smith girls and 40 members of the female sex from Vassar. Smaller groups are journeying from Wellesley, LaSalle, Finch, and Connecticut College. Although Williams will not be the only men's college represented. It is, however, guaranteed there will be enough girls to go around. An American who is sponsoring this trip has planned several events to help this group become better acquainted. After arriving on Saturday, the group will have a chance to do some sightseeing. And on Monday afternoon, there will be a cocktail party. Tuesday features a tea dance, which will be held on the famous Infernorini. Highlighting the week's events will be the College Week Ball, held at the Elbow Beach Club, where the girls are slated to stay. All the comforts of home, including home-cooked meals, will be provided for the Williams delegation in their private house overlooking Hamilton Sound. For energetic people, Bermuda offers a wide variety of outdoor sports, including golf, tennis, ocean swimming, and deep-sea fishing. For those who didn't get their fill of skiing, a new opportunity arises in water skiing. Throughout the week, there will be horse racing at the local track. And if spring fever should set in, sufferers can lose their listlessness at the beer parties which are live in the beach all hours of the day and night. After this array of events, the suntanned or burned, as the case may be, group will return Saturday and be back home in time for Easter Sunday.
Let's go, boys! Let's do it!
I wonder if there isn't some way that the boys in Hog Alley can be taught to have a little pride about the looks of the grounds around Williams and Sage. 7 days a week, beer cans, bottles, papers, thrown out the windows. I should be used to anything, if I should. But This year's freshmen top anything I have ever seen in the way of slackness. Are they in college only because their folks want them out from underfoot? How about the clean boys clamping down on the dirty ones? I have drunk to Williams. I've rooted at your games. Goodbye, Dan. I cuss hell out of you every time I have to clean up the mess around your buildings. It is neither smart nor funny. And it makes a lot of work for someone else.
I came to Williams for two reasons. The very outstanding faculty and the liberal climate that was building then. I loved Williams, despite the manifest prejudices I felt there. Despite the fact I could not partake in fraternity life. Despite the petty student politics, despite the open division felt every day walking out of Griffin Hall at noon, or from the chapel, and the fraternity row of boys went one way and us the other. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not likely to become a trustee anytime soon. But I care for this college, and I've seen what's happening. The fraternities are back in full strength. Today we look more like a country club than a college. I want to be proud of my alma mater. I want to believe in Williams. But it's not only up to me.
Yes, all of the wives, including myself, were very surprised at the extent to which the college had gone to make us comfortable and happy in Greyrock.
The faculty at Williams College can sense it.
There is a kitchenette in every apartment consisting of a brand new Frigidaire, gas stove, and sink unit.
The students know they're doing it.
The rooms were quite bare when we arrived.
What is that?
The only furniture provided being 2 Morris chairs, 2 twin beds, 2 bureaus, and 2 desks with chairs.
Why study? What does the future hold for us?
No, we didn't expect any more, of course, but have become antique auction fiends.
What difference does it make?
There is much refinishing of antiques and painting of radiators and steamships going on.
Whether you got an A or an E on a Shakespeare paper?
There's also picture and curtain hanging, chair covering, and antenna stringing.
When you're going to be dodging deadly steel missiles.
We've gotten acclimated to Williamstown thanks to the parties given by Baxters and the faculty.
On a battlefield, in the not-so-distant future.
The parties have acquainted us with them as well as the other veterans and their wives.
The let-down feeling among the students.
They used to say, Williams, where's that? Today it becomes, Williams, where's your wife?
Because of the sad and disheartening war news.
I like Williams, although it certainly takes a lot of time.
They say the primary thing is don't lose your focus.
No, the problems of keeping a household don't interfere with work.
It's a philosophy which is almost entirely absent from our present one.
Andy and I study together in the evening and eat with several other couples.
And honestly, I think...
The trouble is, William's men are just too isolated to lead normal existences.
I think that the future looks discouraging.
No wonder the Bennington Road is littered with broken hearts.
And futility seems to be the cry.
You need to go? Of course. We'll talk later, Janet. Bye.
We all feel low. We all feel worried.
Student of Williams College was asked 3 times the normal price of a haircut by the college barbershop on Spring Street. It may come as a shock to those who believe that discrimination exists only south of the Mason-Dixon line. On January 25, 1947, Raymond G. Calvin Jr. was told by the proprietor of the college barbershop that the price of a haircut for him was $3 instead of the listed price of $1. The barber said to the student, "Isn't this a strange place for you to be?" When questioned as to the high price of the haircut, according to Calvin, the barber would make no answer. Norman Rutledge, editor-in-chief of the Morning's Record, who had accompanied Calvin to the barbershop, corroborated the Calvin's report. Calvin has stated that in cooperation with the Civil Liberties Union, he intends to take appropriate court action. For many years, African-American residents and students in Williamstown have had to go to North Adams for their nearest barbershop. Such a trip involves a considerable expenditure, which brings the cost of the haircut well above the prevailing price of $1. The barbershop incident, a flagrant example of Jim Crowism, has precipitated an investigation by the Record revealing widespread condemnation from students and faculty members of the college. The case was tried by Judge Israel Ruby of the Williamstown District Court, who imposed a $50 fine on the barber, Mr. Blum. The judgment held that the barber's statements violated Chapter 272, Section 98 of the General Laws of Massachusetts, which bars discrimination on account of color or race in any public place of amusement, a public conveyance, and/or barbershop. This is the first time that a violation of the law in question has been tried in the case of a barbershop, and will hence establish a precedent for the state courts. The course of the affair has stirred heated debate in the Williamstown region. The picket line of students started operations before the barbershop at 9 a.m. Friday until 6 p.m. Saturday. The 2 men teams work in half-hour shifts to the accompaniment of occasional jives and passerbys during the heaviest snowfall of the winter. Many people seemed unsure of their exact feelings on the issue, but those who were opposed vented their indignation upon the record as publicity crazy and guilty of stirring up something which no one had ever worried about before. There were a few comments shouted to kids to look at your own fraternity system first. A student who declined to picket, when asked why, replied, "I belong to a social organization, a fraternity which has never had a color member. It would be presumptuous of me to attack another man for practicing the same principles." This has been a Williamstown broadcast.
I hate you.
and everything that you do. You have to cause problems wherever you go, don't you?
All this chaos because of you!
You know, 90% of Williamstown's residents would object to getting a haircut from a shop which accepted colored people. It takes a long time to build up a trade, and white people can make you or break you. Hell, white people themselves travel to North Adams if they're dissatisfied with service here. I feel bad for the barber, Mr. Medvedev Blow, who wouldn't hurt a fly, having to bear the brunt of student action. Did you hear me? It's a poor thing to do. People aren't ready for this. Why raise an issue so long as there was no open conflict? You're jumping on one man with all the power of college press and the noisy furor of righteousness. You're holding one man up to shame and ridicule, a man who doesn't have the resources to defend himself. Mr. Blow is a real benefactor to our country. You and Editor Redledge are a menace to our society. A gang of rats. Red rats. It's a poor thing to do. People aren't ready for this.
Are you even listening?
In the weeks that have elapsed since the barbershop case was first presented to the public, a furor has arisen which has extended beyond this town and even beyond this state. It has been asked, why pick on the college barbershop when there exist cases of discrimination elsewhere in Williamstown and in the social system of Williams College itself? But we must begin somewhere, and somewhere in this case is the college barbershop where there was clear evidence of price discrimination. It has also been claimed that this was all nothing more than a record publicity stunt. But the only way to have prevented this claim would have been never to have published the article in the first place. We hope that this entire issue has made thoughtful townspeople realize how much is yet to be done before our community can be called liberal. Townspeople, college students, faculty members, all of us have done a little soul searching this past week, and the results have not been as pretty as we might have thought a few weeks ago. The Record has a reputation for being a crusader, and we believe that there is a need for such newspapers. And we intend, on every occasion, to keep right on being the crusader. We believe that questions of journalistic partiality place the real issue behind the smokescreen of charges and countercharges. The real issue is racial discrimination. It is well known that on this issue, Americans are disposed to talk one way and go on living their lives another. When faced with having to resolve this inner conflict, it is customary and rather easy to choose a side issue to fight over, thus avoiding the central question. The central question is this: do you want to do something about race discrimination on campus, or don't you?
It was such an unexpected quirk of fate that I, silly little Josie Horton, should be invited to be investigated by John Parnell Thomas and the Boys in the Un-American Activities Committee. When I received their letter, I immediately packed my loudest sport shirts and my upswept tortoiseshell spectacles in my Gladstone, and I caught the next train for the district, where a big policeman came and shackled me to my chair until my time came to testify. And that time finally came. Right on cue, I entered the jam committee room wearing my red, white, and blue chalk stripe with an American flag pinned over my left chest where my heart should have been. I sauntered jauntily to the witness stand, bowing right and left. No, only right. To the many people who stood booing. Humming a few bars of God Bless the Republican Party, Chairman Thomas rapped for order. A guard swore me in. "Good luck, comrade," he said, slipping me the old party grip. With statesman-like precision, Mr. Thomas fired his first question at me. My well-oiled thinking apparatus went into instant action, and within 2 minutes, I came out with the proper response. Male. Boos and a single cheer ending in a scream of anguish were heard. To add to my savoir-faire, I lighted a Pall Mall and I settled back in my chair. In response to the query, "Do you attend Williams College?" I delivered a long and brilliant gem of rhetoric, which in substance said, "Yes." The next questions concerned my subversive activities on campus. I readily admitted to listening to Shostakovich in the secrecy of my room at night, and I pleaded guilty to their charge that I had once begun to read War and Peace. The day was saved for me on that score when my place mark revealed I hadn't made it beyond the list of characters on the first page. I crossed my legs and I waited for the next question. Are you a communist? I knew what I had to do. I glanced disdainfully around at the newsreel cameras grinding away, the reporters with their pencils poised, the people glaring. I cleared my throat. I gulped a shot of vodka, and I said, yes. An atomic silence fell over the place. This lasted for several minutes while I sat there, buffing my nails on my jacket. Poor old JP rapped feebly with his gavel and gasped, are you willing to name names of your fellow travelers at Williams? So I named everyone from Mrs. Baxter to Steve Sondheim, and I produced fake membership cards to prove it. The committee was quite astounded. So the affair ended, and I was conducted back to my yellow taxi and wished Godspeed by all present. And I returned, able to continue my reactionary outpourings at Williams, safe in the knowledge that I am a communist in the sight of Washington.
Your life is your time. Our time is a collection of stories. One is tragic until another comes along and changes everything. Change after change. Rapid, frequently, like the weather in Massachusetts. For years, we wore each other's ties, borrowed each other's notes, carried each other home, pummeled each other day in, day out. We are inescapably sharers of time. That's the thread, and it's enough.
How did you come to Williams?
By car.
I wanted to go to college, not in Pennsylvania, because where I lived and where I just knew the territory too well. And I wanted a place that offered theater possibilities. I'd heard about the Out of Memorial Theater and about Pete McCandless and how, you know, the whole lighting board thing worked and all that sort of thing. It sounded really interesting. I went up there, and I just liked the atmosphere, and I wanted to go to a liberal arts college, and I wanted to go to a small one. I didn't want large classes. I didn't want a university. And the college counselor at George School suggested Williams, and that's why I went to Williams. I wanted to be a mathematician. I wanted particularly, I'm really interested in number theory, and I wanted to be a mathematician. But I had been playing piano, writing songs for George School, and my elective for the first year at Williams was music, and I was so taken with the music professor, Robert Barrow, that I decided to major in music and to write as much as I could. And since I love the theater, that was my way of putting the two things together. I had a surrogate father, Oscar Hammerstein, and he had been encouraging me to write songs and to write for the theater, and so that's why I did that. I, of course, had been brought up to think of music as inspirational, as the kind of thing when you're staring out of your New York penthouse and you look over the city and suddenly a little birdie comes to your shoulder and goes, ba-da-da-da. No, Robert Barrow said, I'll tell you what music is about. It's about a scale. And then he went into tonal music, and then he went into chromatic music. And it just opened my eyes. That's what an education should do. And so I became a musician. I had learned how music works. And so by the time I graduated, I no longer thought of it as some kind of airy, inspirational, divine gift. I thought of it as a science, as a way of organizing sound, which is, of course, exactly what it is. I started, you know, kind of as a romantic and ended up as a realist. The first one was on my first of the musicals I wrote up there was Finney's Rainbow was my sophomore year, so I must have written it over the vacation between the freshman and sophomore. And I don't remember writing it on campus. I think I probably wrote lyrics on campus, but I don't remember writing music. But I may have. There were rehearsal rooms at the Out of Memorial Theater, and I may have done it there. First session also with Lane Faison's art. He took a painting by Degas and analyzed it for us, and it was an eye-opener, because it wasn't about just the painting. It was about how an artist organizes his thoughts or his creative or whatever vision. I'm trying to avoid the pretentious words, but the painting's called The Watering Can, and it was in a ballet rehearsal hall, and there was a watering can in one corner of the picture, and lower left corner, and then there were dancers at the bar and stretching, doing that sort of thing. And I said, all right, I want to go around the room now. I want everybody to tell me, what is that watering can doing there? And I want nobody to say anything anybody else has said. Well, you know, it was dead silence, and we all looked at each other. And of course, when you start thinking, we say, well, it has the practicality in the picture. It's you know, it's to wash the floor, and then you realize that the shape of it is similar to the shape of one of the girls who's at the bar. Then you realize it's balancing this vast slope of the floor, and I just thought, the watering can functions in about 50 ways, and that's what art is about. So you're asking me about memorable days. They're all teaching days. Once you know how to learn things, I don't think you have to be educated anymore. Williams was very good at that. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody at Williams for this week devoted to my stuff, and I hope that everybody will enjoy what there is there, and that academia will not kill it. And I wish I could be there, as a matter of fact, but I have shows in preview and rehearsal, so I can't get up there. I wish I had something smart to say, but I don't. It's a difficult world, and a college education, particularly a good liberal arts college education, is not a shield, but something helpful. I'm a big believer in education. That's the other thing I could have been, I think, as a teacher. And I try to teach in my own field when I get the opportunity to. But the word teacher usually brings tears to my eyes, because teachers saved my life in so many ways.